This 1992 5-liter Mustang looks great in pictures, but in reality, it's got its issues. Today, we're going to simply do a test drive and explore some of the more obvious issues this car has. We'll definitely have some more upcoming videos, but for today, let's just go for a ride. So let's see if this thing will even start. So I've been having a presumed problem with the ignition switch. We haven't replaced it yet, but let's see if it does it'll either start or it won't. So essentially what I believe is happening is when you actually get to the crank position, it's not connecting all of the circuits when it's cranking, and we're not getting anything out of the fuel injectors. That's what I found with my multimeter. All right, so what I'm going to do, leave it on run. So basically what I'm going to do, I've opened up our air box. I'm going to spray in a little bit of starting fluid, or you could spray a little bit of carb cleaner, anything combustible. And then I'm going to jump our starter solenoid, and I'll show you what that's like here. So I'm going to move this out of the way. Now with the key on run, essentially all we have to do is connect, and you got to be very careful doing this, but this is just like you would jump a solenoid on a starter down at the car. With the starter relay that Ford has, you can do it right here. So all you need to do is bridge those two with a screwdriver. Okay, but we don't get anything. And there we go. All right, so that's sometimes how we have to get it started. So I'm pretty confident it is our ignition switch, which we will be replacing. And what I'm hoping to do is, well, just like today where it's failed, I'll be able to have it fail. I'll be able to do some tests on the ignition switch, replace it, and then know confidently that we actually fixed the problem instead of just throwing parts at it. But knowing these Mustangs enough and the behavior I've seen it exhibit, I'm pretty sure it's not firing any of the fuel injectors when you're cranking. So it might be the whole PCM, but when you're on the run position, everything seems to work. So therefore, if you get to the run position, it'll go ahead and fire. But the interesting thing is it still only fires off a spray, which is interesting. So it's like once the engine starts turning fully, then it stays running. But as you saw, it only started after I sprayed it. So pretty confident I know what the answer is, and then it has something to do with this switch here, but not exactly certain that the symptoms fully line up to that answer. But anyway, before we do too much, I figured I would take you for a little ride in this car, and we'll tell you everything that's wrong with it. That's the top switch. I've never had a Fox convertible before. All right. Battery hold down's not even working, so I rigged up some bungee cords for the time being. This window doesn't, it's like jammed, won't go down any further. So it is an AOD. This is an automatic, and that's always a bit of a downer on a Foxbody Mustang, but honestly, how's it to cruise is the question. Maybe it's more of a cruiser than it is, you know, fun to drive stick shift car. a fun to drive cruiser isn't a bad thing. But I know a lot of people will just see the AOD and immediately go, ah, come on, what's up with that? But you know, they made them like this, so sometimes that's what you find. You can do 5-speed conversions on them, but it ain't exactly the cheapest thing in the world. If you find the right parts in the right junkyard, then certainly you can do that, but you're going to need a lot of things. Cross members, the linkages, the pedal box, the actual transmission. I believe the drive shaft's different. Obviously the clutch, you got to convert to a flywheel. And I don't know if there's any programming that has to be done, but you know, there could be some little extras here or there. So, not feeling it today, but sometimes this thing has a sticky throttle. And again, we're going to talk about some of the common things on Mustangs that you need to look at when we get to our driving road. So now we're cruising. Speedometer's way off. There's no way I'm maybe doing 35 or 40 and it says 60, so that's a problem. Feels to me like typical need for Mustang 5.0 tune-up, amongst some other things that we'll show you when we have it in the shop. Obviously pretty noisy in here. I feel like I'm yelling. I feel like I hear a little bit of rear end noise too, which is concerning. Hopefully I don't need to rebuild that, but I know for a fact it has 410 gears in it. Maybe they're just noisy gears. Who knows? Test drives are how you figure out a lot of this stuff. Obviously, we got no radio. We've got what feels like a shift kit in the automatic. Let's turn around really quick. Oh, God. These brakes are weird. Brakes kind of feel like on and off. Maybe we got a vacuum leak somewhere. Or a busted booster. I really think this is a solid Fox. It needs a lot of little things and a lot of the common things you'd see on a Foxbody. The Foxbody tune-up, it's going to need some underhood love. Obviously, our speedometer needs to be corrected to some extent because there's no way we're doing 55 right now. I'm lightly cruising. But other than that, our other gauges seem to look okay. It had a bit of a hunting idle, which again is one of those typical Foxbody, you know, 5.0 tune-up things that we'll do. We'll take care of that. I have no concerns about that. It only has half an exhaust. I'd prefer to have the full, probably a Flowmaster kit on it, just because I like the nostalgia of that. AC doesn't work as one might expect. We'll maybe reconstitute that and get it working again, but hey, it's a convertible. So I think the convertible also kind of like gives a little with the automatic, right? You know, it's a little more of a cruiser. This thing's not going to be a full caged racer. You know, it's not like a road racer kind of deal you'd have in a coupe or a hard top with a cage and a track suspension. You know, this thing's going to be a good cruiser, and I think that automatic will lend itself pretty well for that specifically. My take on driving this car needs some just general basic things. I think this is a solid platform. I think it needs some subframe connectors. It's a little sloppy of a platform, but it needs just your basic stuff that a 30-year-old car is going to need, and something that's going to require some tune-up and bits. So that's kind of what we'll be doing on it. I don't have much more to say. I really wish I did. Put that camera down. So that wasn't much of a test drive. It was just a couple miles, but it did let me know a number of things. First off, all in all, our gauges are all looking pretty good. It drives pretty nice. I do hear what sounds like possibly rear end bearing noise, which is concerning. So we're going to want to at least check the fluid and hope we're okay back there. Maybe it's a brake dragging or something like that. The steering could use a bit of work. We'll have to take a look at the suspension. But I think the biggest issue with the steering is more the old aged tires on it and the rims that are kind of offset a little bit. Shift's nice. It's definitely got a shift kit in it. Feels like it's got a shift kit at least. It seems to shift just fine. A little harsh, but fine, assuming it has a shift kit. Seems to have pretty decent power. It was hunting a little bit in idle, but it seems to be a lot more steady right now. So again, I think that kind of 5.0 tune-up will do. But we're gonna really pull apart the motor, the top end of the motor. We're gonna make sure this motor's healthy first. If it is, we're gonna take the intake manifold off, clean it up, just revamp the interior of the engine bay. Revamp the engine bay, and while we're at it, replace hoses, vacuum lines, gaskets, things like that. And I see we got a little hunting right there. A big issue we have is our airbag light. We'll talk about that a little later, because that's going to be an interesting one to diagnose. But it also has an alarm on it. It's an old school alarm. We're going to have to get rid of that. I don't even want to deal with that. So hopefully that doesn't cause wiring mess. We got to put a stereo in it. So yeah, this car needs a lot of little things, but I think it's a solid platform to start from. And I think in terms of anyone who's maybe looking for a Foxbody, like, this is probably what you're going to find, especially ones that might have a nice shiny wrapper to them. A lot of times they're old. They just have things that need to be done. All right, I'll turn this thing off here, because one thing you might have noticed is our airbag light. And our low coolant light. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1. So it's a code 51. So that is an airbag code 51, which is actually really not ideal, because it's about the worst code you can get. What it essentially means is, and I have one here that I took off a pick apart. This is the airbag module that Ford uses, and this is pretty much right back here behind the climate control, is this little blue box. And in this blue box is your mechanisms for your airbag system. But one thing that's in here is a thermal fuse. Now that sounds like, oh cool, it's just a fuse. All right, let me tell you what the thermal fuse does. If there's a short in the system and the module diagnoses that short and says, hey, this is not a normal condition, I'm not going to fire the airbags, but I have a short that is going to fire the airbag. That's basically what's happening. There's a short in the system, and the airbag could blow up in your face for no reason, not due to an accident. So this box is smart enough to detect that type of condition. Most likely you would have had a different error code here at that specific time. And as soon as it detects that, it basically has a logic circuit that will trigger blowing the thermal fuse. So essentially, when there is such a bad case in the airbag, there's something wrong enough that it would cause an accidental deployment, the system is designed to essentially kill itself. And that's what this one has done. Well, not this one. Hopefully not this one. This one may be dead too. I don't know. I pulled it out for, I think 20 bucks. I got it out of a pick-apart as a gamble. I talked them down because I told them I'm gambling. I didn't pop this open to inspect the thermal fuse. So essentially that thermal fuse blows, and then you get the code 51, which means, yeah, that the thermal fuse blew. You cannot diagnose the system at that point. Now, we do have some things that we're going to do to diagnose it. That's why I picked this up, because my hope is that we'll be able to get at least one code read off of this before it kills itself. and maybe even before it kills itself, so we can reuse this module. If not, I'm going to probably attempt to replace the thermal fuse. Now, that is a very, very, very delicate operation. It is board level soldering, but I have some electronics repair experience, so I feel a little more confident tackling that. But obviously we can't leave our airbag in place. So when we do get to this, we'll show you a full video. I've actually bought the Ford Rotunda tool for $19.92. I found it on eBay for 10 bucks. You can probably make your own, but the ohms were different year to year. So I preferred to just, hey, 10 bucks, I found the tool. It's basically an airbag simulator. So you take the airbag out, you plug in this airbag simulator, and it puts a resistive load into the circuit that mimics the airbag being there. But if you have a short and it fires power to launch the airbag, all you got is your little airbag simulator. You don't have the actual airbag module. This can be removed. It can be safely put away. So my face, my hands, my body, me, my cameras, everything is nowhere near this thing, and this thing is nowhere near any power source that'll set it off. So when I do my troubleshooting of the airbag system on this car, won't have this installed. We'll use our airbag simulator. So that's just one thing we'll try to bring you along for. Again, this is a great thing for YouTube and a great thing to kind of walk you through some things that are common on Fox bodies. A lot of the older Fox bodies, the airbag systems aren't working anymore. The AC doesn't work, which most people would have ripped out anyway, so we'll try to reconstitute that. You have your 5.0 tune-up, all those little things that you're going to need to do. I'm hoping to do to this car, again, just to return it to a great driver situation. You know, something a little less grungy, something a little more ready to cruise. And you got good bones on the car. I think this car deserves that, and that's what we're going to do. So, but I kind of got off track there because I love talking, but suffice to say, look forward to eventually an airbag repair video where we'll go through the steps on how we reconstitute the airbags and overcome that code 51. But if you're curious what a code 51 is, well, that's the description of what it is, at least. We'll have many more videos on this car soon, including a full mechanical inspection as well as refurbishing videos. So if you want to see more of this Fox body, subscribe to Vortex Garage.